I think we're here. So let me introduce everybody. Welcome to Buffalo Sports Insider. Thank y'all for tuning in on this lovely Monday that we got for you guys. We're with Zai Lewandowski, Shay Ritt, and Isaiah Marquez. I'm your host, Deshaun Francois. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Check us out on all our social media, Buffalo Sports Insider or Buffalo Insider on a lot of them as well. We're also updating all of our websites with our stories, any articles that anyone has to talk about, and we're updating our social media with any news. Thank y'all for tuning in today, and we hope that you enjoy this episode. So, starting off, I'm going to go into the NBA playoffs to begin. The first round was beautiful, in my opinion. There were so many great series. Some of them were very underlying, in my opinion, and I think we're going to start with that, which is the Timberwolves versus the Phoenix Suns. I think that was the most upsetting series, in my opinion, just off the fact that there was no wins on the Sun side at all. So, Shay, I want to ask you a question about how you feel Anthony Edwards versus the Kevin Durant matchup went in that series.
So yeah, about Anthony Edwards, we did hear about how he looked up to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is his quote unquote GOAT. I think that Anthony Edwards dominated this series and he did a very good job of propelling the Timberwolves to a sweep, scoring 40 points in the last game, 36 in the previous. He did a very good job. Kevin Durant had a good series as well, but it just wasn't enough. The Suns did not do a great job. Most of these games were not very close. The last one was pretty close, 122 to 116, but it's still a sweep. You know, the Suns were just underperformed this year. They have a lot of star talent, Booker, Durant, Beal. I think that it was a very disappointing season for the Suns, and I think that it is surprising to not see them win a game in this series, honestly. I think that they had a lot of talent to make this 6 or 7 game series, and Anthony Edwards just made sure that didn't happen. So props to the Timberwolves, and I think that they can make a deep run this year. If Anthony Edwards keeps playing this way, then I don't see them losing a series, honestly.
I definitely do agree. A team with Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker did just get swept out of the playoffs. Sad to say that we won't be seeing any more of Kevin Durant. Another team that sadly got swept was the New Orleans Pelicans. I think that it was very hard for them to get it rolling without Zion, and Brandon Ingram hasn't been playing the way that he has been the past few years of this star caliber player that everybody wants him to be. So Isaiah, I ask on your question, how much hope do you have for OKC moving forward and going up against the Mavericks, being that they just went up against a lackluster Pelicans team?
I mean, for one, they have more energy for like a 4 game series compared to a hard fought battle between Mavericks and the Clippers. I don't think it's going to be as easy of a win than the Pelicans, obviously, but I don't see anyone on Dallas who can strap Shea up. So that problem is going to continue to appear. Chet can spread the floor. OKC is a team who traditionally likes to drive and kick, and if you don't have your rotations down packed, it's game over. So I still see OKC beating Dallas, but when you have a person like Luka, who I think is the best player in the league, it's a hard series, to be honest.
I have that series written up to be one of the most interesting, in my opinion, just off the fact that the OKC Thunder are such a young squad, and then the Mavericks, who a lot of players are saying that they look more up to Kyrie Irving since that he's been in this role many times, taking the Cavaliers to the playoffs, winning championship with them, and trying to do things with the Celtics as well as on with the Nets. So that's going to be the most interesting one, in my opinion. Another series that I want to talk about from the first round matchup, we have a New York Knicks fan over here in Zai. So I just want to hear your input on the Knicks versus the Sixers winning 4-2. What do you think happened in that series?
All credit to the Sixers. There was a lot of back and forth going on. I've mentioned it before. The Sixers were saying a lot of different things, especially, saying that they were the better team and things of that nature. So I love to have that victory lap that, they were sent home. But other than that, in all seriousness, this was a hard fought series. There was a stat that I read that if you add up all of the points from the 6 games, the Knicks only won by one singular point. It was 650 to 649. So that just shows you that series could have literally went either way. Joel Embiid, he's definitely I give some kudos to him. He fought hard on one leg and an eye. I mean, I didn't appreciate the dirty play by him, but regardless of that, just strictly on basketball, him and Maxey definitely were playing out of their minds. But to go on the Knicks side of things, that team is just tough, man. We all know the head of the snake is Jalen Brunson. He did his thing. There's been a lot of things going on with people saying that he's not good enough to lead a team, or he's too small, he's too this, too that. Well, he had 3 straight 40-point games against one of the teams that was considered a contender against the MVP. He had 3 straight 40-point games. So please, can we stop this chitter chatter about what he can't do and focus on what he can do? And Josh Hart, he didn't hit 4 threes in any game this season. He hit 4 threes in a game 3 times this series. Like, he's an excellent rebounder for his size. The defense is crazy. Tom Thibodeau coached a crazy series. I see the Knicks going far this year.
So my last question to ask you on the Knicks, what would you say their accusation of OG Anunoby in the middle of the season was? Would you think that it was the best thing that happened to them this year, or is it just ironic that they're doing so well defensively after that accusation?
Always a decent defensive team, but when you add quite frankly, a freak like OG to that squad who can guard 1 through 5, he's always going to do great. I mean, I seen a stat, the Knicks are like 24-5 with OG Anunoby in the lineup, and this is without Julius Randle. For most of those games, he missed their second best player is gone, and OG is still doing what he has to do for them. He's a good offensive player as well, but his defense, man, I seen what he was able to do to Embiid, I believe, in Game 4, where he was slowing him down, and for most of the series, he was also guarding Tyrese Maxey and made him struggle at points. So when you have somebody that's a weapon like that, of course, we're going to do good with him.
All right. And Isaiah, I'm going to come back to you for the last question of this segment. What would you say is your most upsetting loss or victory in this series of the first round?
I had Orlando coming out the first round, actually. It sucks that Paolo didn't have any help. I mean, Franz completely disappeared in that series. Surprisingly, too, because Cleveland is not a team that has many wings, especially defensive wings. So surprising to see that the one that went ghost was Franz. But yeah, I mean, Paolo played a hell of a series. It sucks. I mean, that team is definitely has a bright future. I think Paolo, just 21 years old. They have the pieces, the young pieces, to trade and move around and get someone who can bring them farther into the playoffs. But yeah, I had Cleveland selling again in the first round. D. Mitch came out and balled. Hell of a series. Can't knock the Cavs. I mean, it's going to be a hard one, though, with Celtics, but
I agree with you completely. I think that series was one of the most entertaining series that they had in the first round. People probably had that written off being that it was 2 middle teams, but I feel like with the going 4-3, it showed that we had a very young Magic team that has never been in that situation before, that showed that they were ready to play, led by Paolo Banchero, who I believe had 28 points per game, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. He did this in his first playoff series. So I feel like moving forward, we have a lot to see out of Paolo Banchero, but that's going to be all that we have for the first segment of the show today. We'll be right back with a little more news from the NHL and the Bandits as well. So we'll be right back for you guys.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do...
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. I'm your host, Thomas Bailey. Alongside me this time are Evan Harrington, Alex Smiley, Indiana Suche Soto. Before we hop into the NHL playoffs, we want to kind of talk a little bit about the Buffalo Bandits, who are the lacrosse team here for the Buffalo Sports Media personnel. Buffalo did just beat Toronto in a best-of-3 series, 2-0. They have won 3 straight games heading into this playoffs, and they win 3 straight into the playoffs as well. They are doing everything right. And realistically, Deanna, you were at the game, or your friend was, something along those lines. So what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, what an awesome game. Toronto was first seed, so it was really hard for them. It wasn't going to be an easy game for them. And I think, honestly, you got to think about it in a way. You know, Dane Smith had that first goal of the game, which Toronto returned pretty soon, showing how good they actually are. And they had a little bit of back and forth. The end of the first quarter was a 3-2. And the Toronto was on a bit of a run with the ending of the second quarter, 3-6 them. And then in the third quarter, the Bandits just really couldn't catch up, ending it with 4-7 with them in the third. So going into the fourth, the Bandits really needed to get themselves together. So Toronto scored again, making it 8-4, but the Bandits kept scoring quickly after and ended up having 6 unanswered goals, bringing it to 10-8 with them. And with 7 seconds left in the game, we got a penalty shot due to Toronto having too many men on the field, which we did not score, unfortunately, but the Bandits did win it to end the series, meaning we are playing Albany in the championship finals since they also won in 2. So this is going to be a battle of the 90, which is awesome.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bandits defeated the Toronto Rock 10-8 in the playoffs here in the best of 3 series. And you really just got to credit some of the players. Obviously, Matt Vince with his 52 save performance. And then Josh Byrne had a 7-point night, which now he's only 1 point shy of 100 career NLL points, which would make him the 3rd player in the history of the franchise to do so behind John Tavares and Dane Smith. And the Buffalo Bandits, man, talk about a rally, a sense of urgency from the entire team, down 8-4 at the beginning of the 4th quarter. And they had 6 straight unanswered goals. And it was just goal after goal after goal after goal. The place was going wild. Bandit Land was really having a fun time with that one. And obviously we're going up against a very good opponent in the Albany Fire Wolves. And the first game is Friday, May 17th at 7 p.m. Game 2 is going to be in Buffalo, May 18th. And then Game 3, if necessary, will be in Albany Friday, May 24th. And these are a really tough team because when you look at some of the top players in the playoffs, you got a guy like Alex Simmons for Albany, 19 points in 3 games played. And then you got Josh Byrne right behind him, 18 points, 3 games played. And Ty Kurtz, Dane Smith, like these are some of the best players in the league that we are seeing in the finals coming up very soon here.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing to be there in person. And one guy you didn't mention that was great as well, real quick, is Chase Frazier. He had a hat trick in that game. Man went nuts. We're going to switch segments, though. We're going to hop into the NHL playoffs really quick here. Guys, the Buffalo team is obviously not in the playoffs, but we got to see a fun one between 2 long-lived rivalries between Boston and Toronto. Funny to see them end in Game 7 again. What are your guys' thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'm just glad that game went to overtime, so that means whoever lost in heartbreaking fashion because
don't like Boston or Toronto at all. So it was funny to see Toronto bring it back from 3-1, force a Game 7 just to lose in overtime 2-1 to Boston. I hope Boston ends up losing to Florida in the next round.
I actually saw a comment on Instagram that Maple Leafs are going to force 7 games and then lose in overtime, and so that person called it. I wonder how they're feeling right now. But Evan, what are your thoughts?
Where do you go from here now? Where does the core 4 go from here now? The core obviously being William Nylander, John Tavares, Austin Matthews, and the lone wolf that may not be a Toronto Maple Leaf next year, Mitch Marner.
He's the only realistic one that you can get rid of.
I mean,
Tavares' contract's insane.
You can't get rid of Austin Matthews. He's one of the 10 best players in the league, best goal scorer in the game. William Nylander's been your best playoff performer as of late. Can't get rid of him. And John Tavares, he's the captain of your team. It's really it's hard to move off his contract. And Mitch Marner is kind of the one that would be the odd man out, but he just said he would love to sign a long-term extension to, continue his career in Toronto. Again, another Game 7 first round heartbreak for Toronto. Where do you go from here? That is all I can leave this, segment with is where do you go from here?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions with that Toronto Maple Leafs score. There's a lot that really they need to work on. I mean, the defense got better, but the goaltending without Wool, they've really just kind of faltered. Even though Samsonov played a heck of a game in Game 7, not exactly the series they wanted, of course, losing in Game 7. But moving into the Western Conference side of things, the Game 7 we saw was Vegas versus Dallas. Dallas ends up with the win, advancing to the second round to take on Colorado. So what are your guys' thoughts on this one?
What a series. This was by far the best series in the first round. I watched most of these games, and
all of them were electric. Like Game 3 that went to double overtime or whatever. Obviously, Game 7 was really good. Almost every game was just a 1-goal game. So getting into the third period and the play, both crowds were electric. It was just a really fun series to watch, and I'm glad Vegas lost because I am not a fan of Vegas either.
Yeah, now we will see the Dallas Stars moving on. They defeated the Vegas Golden Knights in round one, defeated the defending champs, and now really are the Dallas Stars the betting favorite to go on to potentially win the Stanley Cup? I mean, this is a very good team that got past arguably the best team in the playoffs in the Vegas Golden Knights. Again, a really down-to-the-wire series. Loved competitive hockey. Dallas and Vegas, they put on a really good series last year in the Western Conference Finals, and they did so once again in the first round. And got to give congratulations to Dallas. And again, it was a very, very good series.
Yeah, then there were 8 guys. You got Dallas taking on Colorado in the second round, and then you have Vancouver, Edmonton. We flip over to the Eastern Conference, Boston and Toronto, and the Rangers and Hurricanes, who just had their game one. I think the Rangers won 4-3 to take a 1-0 series lead yesterday. So that is all for our NHL playoff segment. We'll be back with more from Buffalo Sports Insider, this time talking baseball with Alex Miley.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
And how's your serve coming along?
Not so good.
I think we should work on it this weekend.
Mom, Amy's birthday bash slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made.
All right. Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. For this segment, we're going to be talking about baseball. And on Friday, there was some breaking news. All-star second baseman Luis Arias got traded from the Miami Marlins to the San Diego Padres for 4 prospects. I'm going to have to ask Thomas, what are your thoughts on this trade?
I think it's actually kind of wild to me. I understand the Marlins are going through a deep rebuild right now. They're like 10-26, I believe, on the season. They're not doing great. They have a lot of issues on that roster, but of course, he was not one of them. I mean, I guess it makes sense to just go and embrace that full-on rebuild mentality. As a team like the Padres, they're trying to stay in it in a stacked NL, and so realistically, this is a good move for both of them to do that. They help with their rebuild and helps them potentially compete for a title.
I'm going to have Isaiah, what are your thoughts on that trade?
I like the trade for San Diego. I mean, I feel like definitely a huge contributor to a winning baseball team. I mean, you've seen his debut 4 for 6, absolutely balled out. Yeah, I think it's a great move. I think San Diego is definitely in need of a middle infielder, and he definitely fills that void. I'm definitely a huge Luis Arias fan, so good trade.
Richie, what are your thoughts on the trade?
I mean, Luis Arias is just a player that I feel like is just extremely efficient, reliable, frankly quite underrated. I feel like they have a lot of infielders, but like he said, middle infield with the Padres is a little shaky. So I feel like it adds a nice level of stability, and it's a team player that I feel like could really help the Padres win, who also won't necessarily have the attention of a guy like a Fernando Tatis. So I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I think it'll be great to pair Arias' ability to get on base with the power of Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado. But next, we're going to swing to what are your guys' most surprising teams been so far in the year?
Like, good or bad here?
We'll go with good first.
I think the Phillies, man. Like, I understand that they're a good team in the NL, and I mean, I'm a Mets fan, so obviously I know the Phillies are pretty good. But to see them be at the top of the league standings this year, 22-12, that's actually very impressive. There's other teams like the Dodgers, the Yankees, Orioles, many others that were also very good there that are in contention for the top team in the league, and to see the Phillies there is just not what I expected.
Isaiah, who is your most surprising team, good-wise?
I have Chicago Cubs. I mean, they're 21-14, tied for first in the NL after a huge series win against Milwaukee. Yeah, I know it's early, but Chicago has been winning a lot of these debatable series all season. So I wouldn't be surprised if during trade deadline they make 1-2 great moves and they have a deep push in the second half of the season.
Richie, what about you?
For me, it has to be the Kansas City Royals. When you look at it, this is a team that was 56 and 106 last year, and now they have a legitimate chance at winning the AL Central. Bobby Witt is only 23, and he's playing like a true MVP. Salvador Perez at 34, who seems like he's much older because he's been in the majors for a while, is actually their leader in home runs and RBIs. And even Seth Lugo, who for the most part of his career was kind of like a mid-tier pitcher, pitching like a true ace. He has 5 wins versus only 1 loss, as well as a 1.60 ERA. And if you talk about how the Royals built the teams, they really like to buff up that rotation, and they have a great 3-man tandem in there with Angel Zerla, John Schreiber, and James McArthur. And I feel like this Royals team is surprisingly competitive, and I feel like they have an outside shot at winning the AL Central. I feel like they're right up there.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Red Sox.
They went from having one of the worst pitching rooms in baseball to this year being one of the best. They're third in runs allowed. No one expected that. Their starting pitching, who for years has been bad, has been really, really good this year. No one really expected that to happen. But now I'm gonna have to switch it to who's been the most underwhelming team in baseball so far, Thomas?
I'm going to go with the Houston Astros, man. 12-22 is just not impressive. They are not doing the thing that they did last year. I mean, they made it all the way to game 7 of the ALCs. Like, they just kind of fell off. And I thought that they may have ran into a couple like really legit contenders at the start of the year. That may be why they started off bad. But there's no excuse for being 10 games under 500 when you have Altuve and Alvarez. You have this team absolutely loaded. I think maybe the pitching is a problem, but they really need to work on it.
How about you, Isaiah?
I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay. I mean, a team that I didn't see being obviously in that, I think, the best division of baseball. I didn't see the team being top of the division, but I definitely seen them making a wild card. And right now, it's not looking good for them. I mean, in the beginning of the season, we've seen a lot of drama with the Franco situation going around, and he was the energy in the dugout. I mean, kid was young, ready to play, played hard. Definitely got on base whenever he wanted to in most cases. I mean, Tampa Bay definitely disappointed me this season.
Richie, what about you?
And let's stay in that same division. You know, I'm a Blue Jays fan, and they have just been extremely disappointing. Not only is Vlad struggling, but the whole team is struggling. There's not a single batter on that team that's even sniffing a 300 average. Chris Bassett is frankly playing his way into retirement, and Alek Manoah came back and just stank up Nationals Park. They had to take him out after 4 innings. He allowed 6 runs to, frankly, what shouldn't be that good of a team. I could have put them as one of the most surprising teams, but yeah, they let the Nationals get 11 runs, and they are 16-19 right now and do not. It's very early. There's still a lot of games to be played, but the Blue Jays do not look optimistic.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Diamondbacks, going from making the World Series to being
5 games under 500. I think that's been pretty disappointing. But we're going to go to commercial now. Next will be Deshaun to talk about the Bills.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do...
And welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. I'm your host, Sean Francois, for this segment. With me, we have Deanna Suchet Soto, Evan Harrington, and Alex Miley. So, Soto, my fault. My apologies. I said that so quick. We're going to talk about who the Bills decided to pick up this past weekend. And it's a lot of head scratchers, in my opinion. We got older Deion Jones coming in on 1 year, building up the linebacker core. We got Dwan Smoot, played with the Jags. I haven't really paid much attention to him, but from what I read, his last best season was 2021. Hey, Buffalo, we're in 2024 now. And lastly, we have picked up wide receiver Chase Claypool. I have no idea what the Bills are thinking going ahead and picking up this bomb, honestly. He's gone on so many teams that just have not done anything well. Started out with the Pittsburgh Steelers, went ahead to the Bears. They ended up not doing great at all. And then he went to the Dolphins, and then you see what happened when they had him on their roster. So now he's in Buffalo. So, Deanna, I want to start with you. How do you feel about the Bills signing Chase Claypool?
Situation. I don't like that he's wearing Diggs's number, which is something I guess most people didn't realize. They kind of announced it, kind of got brushed under the rug with his announcement of going to the Bills. I think it's a weird move. He finished in 2020 with 873 yards and 9 touchdowns, which was fourth among the rookies and first among the rookies in terms of touchdowns. So he was great then, but what are we doing now? What is the point of this? And then you're going to put him in Diggs's number, which is kind of a slap in the face to Diggs. Not that he gave us any respect as he left, but at the same time, I don't know. It's kind of a little embarrassing for me.
All right. So I would like to hear your thoughts and opinions on where you believe that the Bills should be looking towards leadership and accountability other than Josh Allen, because we see that they threw a C on Gabe Davis's chest. I was very questionable about that in the first place, and now he's gone. So what do they do next?
Yeah, obviously leadership is going to bring the quarterback in the National Football League. That's kind of where you're always going to look. But obviously, in any type of sport, you need more leaders than just one guy. And they look to guys like Deion Dawkins, probably going to lean on guys like Dawson Knox this year, who's going to be, further in his tenure in the league. Honestly, defensively, Daquan Jones, Matt Milano, in the back end, maybe a guy like Rasul Douglas. And the thing with the Buffalo Bills is leadership-wise, you lost a guy in Stephon Diggs who was given a C. You lost a guy in Gabe Davis who was given a C. Mitch Morse was a captain on this team. Obviously, defensive or on special teams, you got guys like Reed Ferguson who get a lot of respect and command that respect, not only in the special teams unit, but also in the locker room, as well as he is the longest tenured Bill on this team, and he has that respect for being a leader in his own right. And outside of Josh Allen, those are some of the names I would say, because we are going to see a lot of new captains this year, as the Bills did lose a lot via trade and free agency.
All right. And lastly, I want to ask you, Alex, how detrimental is this offseason and summer training camp to the Bills' identity, with the fact that they have Aaron Rodgers coming back for the Jets, they got a new quarterback over in New England, and I can't even remember what the fourth team is right now. Oh, the Dolphins, my apologies, because we don't care about the Dolphins. We don't want them to do anything in there. So how well is this summer for the Bills going forward?
I'm not worried at all. And seeing these people freak out about this wide receiver room is honestly just annoying at this point. It just shows how little they pay attention to the players we do have on the team. I saw someone on Twitter kind of compare to what the Bills are doing a receiver to the baseball movie Moneyball, where they didn't have the resources to go and fully replace a Diggs and a Gabe Davis. So what they're doing is they're building it out by bringing in players that specialize in one thing, and then it fills out the entire room. You got Shakir, Samuel, Kincaid for these short intermediates, and you got Keon Coleman, I guess like a Claypool, a Quintez Cephas, Matt Collins, these big body, big play that can catch the big plays down the field, can catch the 50-50 balls. And I was doing projections. You can get Dalton Kincaid to get 1,000 yards. Shakir and Samuel can each get 800. Keon Coleman could get 600. The running backs could get 600. Dawson Knox could get 300. The other receivers could get 300. That adds up to 4,400 yards. Then you look at the rushing. James Cook gets 1,200. The other running backs get 500. Josh Allen gets 500. Okay. Then wide receivers can get another 150. That's 2,300 rushing yards. You add that together, that's 6,700 yards. That's a top 5 offense last year. We have Josh Allen as our quarterback. I don't see why people are freaking out just because we don't have these big names that we did in the year past. We're going to be fine. We're going to win the division again. People need to stop freaking out.
Hey, from Alex Smiley. I appreciate everybody for tuning into this lovely episode of Buffalo Sports Insider. But sadly, this is it for a lot of us. This has been my last episode. This has been Deanna's last episode. And our lovely Producer, I would say for graphics, we have Nick Boyinski. Sorry if I butchered your last name, but he's also graduating with us. So I appreciate everybody that's joined in on this journey with me. This is a little thing that we created as students here at Buffalo State with the help of Steve Monaco. And we've just decided to turn this thing into something that turned into a course for Buffalo State. So I hope everybody gets an opportunity to come in and find us, Buffalo Sports Insider. Congratulations to the class of 2024. Congratulations, Deanna and Nick, and to me as well. This has been a lovely ride. I hope everybody checks out our social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, anywhere, Facebook, you can find us. Look at our website, buffalosportsinsider.com, and we'll be coming to you guys live any other day of the week whenever we have something to talk to you about. Y'all have a great one. Stay up.